The late afternoon sun, a tired orange, bled through the dusty window of Mrs. Eldridge's sitting room, illuminating motes dancing in the air like tiny, golden secrets. 87 years had etched themselves onto her face, each wrinkle a testament to joys and sorrows, resilience and grace. Today, however, her usual sharp gaze was softened by a mist of memory. "It was 1952, she began, her voice a fragile whisper that nonetheless commanded attention. Her grandniece Sarah, perched on the edge of the floral sofa, her phone momentarily forgotten, listened with rapt attention. "The summer I turned 80. Our town, Willow Creek, was a sleepy place, mostly known for its apple orchards and the annual pie contest. But that year, something extraordinary happened." Mrs. Eldridge paused, a faint smile touching her lips. "A traveling carnival arrived. Not one of those grand, glittering spectacles you see in movies, but a rather ramshackle affair. Yet, to us, it was pure magic. A Ferris wheel that creaked with every rotation, a merry-go-round with chipped paint, and a tent where a woman claimed to read fortunes and tea leaves. Sarah imagined it, the vibrant chaos against the muted backdrop of Willow Creek. My best friend, Lily, and I, we were inseparable. We'd saved every penny from picking berries, just for the carnival. On its last night, a warm stardusted evening, we decided to visit the fortune teller. Madame Zola, she called herself. She was a stern-looking woman with eyes that seemed to see right through you. Mrs. Eldridge's gaze drifted, seeing not the peeling wallpaper but the canvas walls of Madame Zola's tent. Lily went first. Madame Zola stared intently into her teacup, her brow furrowed. Then, she looked up at Lily, a strange glint in her eye. "You will find your great love far from here," she said, her voice low and gravelly. "Across the ocean, where the sun kisses ancient stones." Sarah gasped softly. "And did she?" "Oh, yes," Mrs. Eldridge chuckled, a dry, rustling sound. Lily met an American soldier a year later, stationed overseas. They fell in love, married, and lived happily ever after in Italy, just as Madame Zola had predicted. A beat of silence. "Then it was my turn," Mrs. Eldridge continued, her voice growing a little fainter. "I was nervous. I held out my cup, my heart thumping like a drum." Madame Zola peered into it for a long, long moment. Her expression didn't change, but I felt a chill. Then, she looked up at me, her eyes unreadable. "Your path," she said, her voice flat, "is not etched in these leaves. It is a whisper, a shadow, a dance of possibilities. You will choose your own destiny, child. Every step. Every single one." Sarah frowned. What did that even mean? At the time, Mrs. Eldridge admitted, I was terribly disappointed. Lily got a grand adventure, a romantic destiny, and I got a philosophical riddle. I remember feeling cheated, like my future was just a blank page, while hers was a vibrant tapestry. She reached for a worn photo album on the side table, its cover faded with age. She opened it to a page where a black and white photo showed two young women, arm in arm, their smiles bright and full of youthful hope. One was clearly Mrs. Eldridge, the other, Lily. But as the years passed, Mrs. Eldridge murmured, tracing the outline of her younger self, I started to understand. I didn't have a predetermined path. I chose to stay in Willow Creek, to run the family bakery, to marry Thomas, a kind and steady man from down the street. I chose to raise my children in the house I grew up in. I chose to cultivate a life that, while perhaps not dramatic, was filled with quiet joys, deep roots, and a profound sense of belonging. She looked up at Sarah, her eyes clear and bright now. Lily's life was an incredible adventure, full of grand gestures and new horizons. But mine was a journey of deliberate choices. Every decision, big or small, shaped my world. There was no grand design laid out for me, only the freedom to build it myself, brick by brick, moment by moment. A peaceful smile settled on Mrs. Eldridge's face. And in the end, Sarah, I realized that Madame Zola's whisper, shadow, and dance of possibilities was the greatest fortune of all. It was the gift of true freedom. Sarah looked at the photograph, then at her great-aunt, a new understanding dawning in her eyes. The wisdom wasn't in knowing what would happen, but in the power to decide for yourself.